Hey bro, I was chilling and I was wondering if I could run some questions by you, if that's okay. Sure bro, what you got? So hey, what do we do about crime and why do people do it in the first place? I guess we throw them in jail. They do it because they're evil or something, I guess, or bad people, you know? I hear you, but is jail gonna rehabilitate them? And why are they evil? I mean, we know no person is born evil, so we gotta wonder what brings them to crime. Surely must be something in their environment, right? Nah, jail's not gonna rehabilitate them, but it's a punishment so they know not to do it again. And once they're back out, it'll be harder for them to provide for themselves too, with whatever they did on their record, which is what they deserve. Also, who really cares why they do it? They shouldn't have done it. People are bad people. You get what you deserve. Oh. Hey man, why are some people homeless or living paycheck to paycheck? And some people have so much money they couldn't spend it all if they tried to. I mean, how am I supposed to buy a home when my rent keeps rising, bills keep coming, and Joe Smo, who was born into wealth, keeps buying up all the property? Isn't that kind of unfair? Not really. Homeless people and people who live paycheck to paycheck are just kind of lazy. They should get better jobs or a second. But what if someone's homeless to job loss or suffering from debilitating health conditions and they can't work? And if all people get better jobs or more jobs, where does that leave the lower end jobs like cashiering or stockers? After all, kids who could get those jobs would be in school during morning and day hours. Wouldn't that leave those places unable to function during a large part of the day? And therefore kind of leaving people unable to get groceries and things they may need? Dude, I don't know. People just gotta pick themselves up by their bootstraps. I mean, that's what I think. Yeah, but what if they aren't as fortunate as you? And what if they lack the help or support you have from others to get? Dude, I don't know and I don't care. I've got bills to pay. Well, exactly. Everybody does. And unless we come together and figure out the roots of how to stop it, it'll just keep becoming somebody else's problem. Dude, just stop. It's just the way things are. It's not that deep. So I want to start with saying it is in fact that deep. Pause. It is that deep. Um, so in this video, we're going to explore what using the expression "it's not that deep" really means about a person and why it's not something to be proud of to refuse to look more into something and just dub it, well, it's not that deep. So when you say it's not that deep, typically it means you're refusing to look further into a topic or concept, either from apathy or from ignorance about said concept or thing. Um, I really have no sympathy or empathy for someone who is afraid of being either wrong or has an aversion to looking further into a topic for whatever reason, whether it be from apathy or from just being ignorant. Um, People in general shouldn't have this aversion to being wrong. It's okay to be wrong. What's not okay is to be wrong, know you're wrong, and continue to just blissfully be wrong. Like, and I want to expand more on people having an aversion to being wrong. This is like a whole nother video in and of itself, but people will die on hills just to not be wrong. And I truly just don't understand it. It's like people are scared of actual or of realizing that what they understand things to be aren't as they are. And I think that's a huge driver into people just being apathetic towards learning more or just looking the other way. Like it's earth shattering to think that this way that you've thought of for so long is not actually justified like you thought it was. And I really just don't see the issue with people just being like, oh, I was wrong. Okay, now I can be right. Now you can learn and have the proper position. What's the issue in that? Like, why is there this prideful air about us where we feel like we can't concede to anything and we just maintain the same beliefs no matter how many times we talk about it? Because at the end of the day, I just don't feel that way. Well, not only does the world not care about your feelings, but your own feelings are perpetuating the cycle that you keep finding yourself in. Like, why live your life holding on to things that aren't justified, holding on to things that don't help the next person, don't help yourself, right? What do you get out of being right in your own mind at the end of the day? Like, what do you really gain? You know, this is gonna be a whole nother video, but I just wanted to expand on it. Another issue I have with the phrase, it's not that deep, it reinforces and keeps things exactly the way they are. Reason being is because looking at something on the surface level, you'll almost often miss key details of why this thing may be unethical, why it may be wrong, or this, that, and The fourth, most socioeconomic concepts require a level of analysis that goes beyond someone of the "it's not that deep" agenda, so to speak. When you appeal to the way things currently are, the way they appear to be from the outside, and you don't make an effort to look further into it, to why things are the way they are, to what causes something as opposed to what it's doing, we essentially just keep running over the same issue. Someone who responds to any particular conflict with "it's not that deep," you just pass the issue on to the next person. You know, you walking through the doorway, for an example, I'll give you an example of what it's like to just ignore an issue and just leave it there for the next person to come across. So you walk into a doorway, and in that doorway there's a nail. And when you walk into that doorway, you realize the nail has scraped you and created this wound. And instead of, well, we'll get to that, but to correct the wound, you just put a band-aid over the wound. But here's where the "it's not that deep" ideology fails, where someone who does care to look into something and actually fix it at the root succeeds. You put a band-aid and you leave the nail there for the next person to come across, scrape their arm, and that person does the same thing. Next person come across, they scrape their arm, but the issue still remains. The cause to why this issue is a thing still remains, and so it keeps affecting people, right? Keeps affecting the people who walk through the door. Then someone walks through the door and they have the power and assess that the reason this wound is here is because the nail is in the doorway where we have to walk through. So I'm gonna remove the nail, put a band-aid on my wound so that no one ever has to experience the nail scraping into their skin ever again. So that when someone walks back out through that door, they don't get yet another wound, and instead the problem is fixed, right? But see, to first get to that nail, to be able to understand that it needs to be pulled out, you have to be willing to look into the cause of things, to why things actually need to be removed at the root in order to influence large systemic change, or in simpler terms, why people are getting wounds as they walk through the door is because the nail is jutting out of the door frame. You see what I'm saying? And so just acting like it's okay to just be stupid, it's okay to just keep moving about your day because you have bills to pay, or you got to worry about this, you got to worry about that, you want to do this, you want to do that, it just passes the problem on to the next person. It ensures that you'll likely get harmed by that problem again. The next person will likely get harmed by that problem again. None of these issues are solved until we truly attack or what is actually at the root of the problem, just like the nail. Like, let's take it back to when Charlie Kirk was shot, right? And the left was not mourning his death, was celebrating his death, right? And the right was trying to condemn the left for doing that, even though the right celebrates deaths of people on the left all the time, or people of a certain demographic, but we're not going to get into that. Anyway, think about how the way I was one who was celebrating his death too, and I still do, absolutely. But the reason I do, right, and the reason I think it's good that he's gone is because he perpetuated harm and hateful rhetoric. No matter who he spoke to, no matter what debates he would get in, it was clear that he was going to keep regurgitating this garbage until it stopped making him money, right? So while it would have been nice for him to change, it wasn't going to happen, you know, at least not under capitalism. But when somebody goes, well, he never shot somebody, or he never argued somebody, he never did this, he just spoke to people, that still does harm. Imagine the people he's inspired to be openly racist, the people he's inspired to openly show disdain for people who don't look a certain way, or for people who don't believe in the certain things. Words have power, right? So when you think beyond surface level about, well, yeah, he didn't actually go and stab somebody, he sure as shit has said words that inspire harm, that inspire these types of things to occur, for people to take action, right? People to pull up on colleges and or HBCUs and say this and do that, and go say hateful shit on the internet, not knowing who's gonna see it. Shit like that, it creates a domino effect, right? But you have to be able to think past surface level to see how many places Charlie Kirk's word affects, how many things it could push forward. You see, the right's not able to see that, and they're not able to see that for a multitude of reasons. But people who I guess would be consider themselves centrist aren't able to see that, or some right people aren't able to see that because they feel as though it doesn't go that deep. AKA, he's not literally doing harm that is visible on the surface level, so it's not that deep. And that's the problem. It really is that deep when you really get down into the weeds about what he was doing and how he was inciting people, and the kind of ideologies he was teaching people ultimately result in harm. So, yeah, fuck Charlie Kirk. It's not cool to be apathetic. It's not cool to engage in pseudo intellectualism and not really look into anything further. You just go off feels and vibes and shit. And you don't really look to um, realistically or logically justify your position in any way. You just feel a way and you just do things, and things just are the way they are. But that's exactly what keeps us going through and suffering the way that we suffer. It's exactly what keeps us going to work every day, despite knowing that we hate our jobs. People around us hate our jobs. We keep going and going and going because at the end of the day, you don't want to make the sacrifice. You don't want to be you and people as a collective don't want to deep dive further into the issue because it may stunt you. It may require some level of sacrifice, etc., etc., etc. This is why I say it's not that deep. That expression will be the end of us all because we'll keep revisiting that nail in the wall, keep getting cut and cut and cut until we can't take it anymore. And eventually we're gone from here. And when we're gone from here, that issue remains to more people who adapt that ideology, and people keep getting cut, keep getting cut, keep getting cut. I want to ask you, and anyone who's listening, who tends to avoid conflict and tends to say it's not that deep, or say this is the way things are. Why exactly do you believe that? Is it because the scope of what needs to change is so large that it scares you that it's not possible? Is it because it's easier to just keep droning every day, doing the same things, and hoping that maybe one day you're the one that gets to do the scraping, you're the one that gets to call the shots, and um, you become part of the few that no longer have to deal with that? It's why exactly? How does it benefit you to just keep playing into the system the way that we're playing into it? You know, um, that's really all I have to say. I feel if you have adapted this ideology of it's not that deep, it's kind of embarrassing and it's time to change it. It really is. It's not cool to be apathetic. It's not cool to be a pseudo intellectual. What is cool is actually seeking to help the fellow man and justifying your positions using research or just consistent logical analysis. But with that, that's what I had to say. Yeah, we keep doing the same things over and over. We're gonna get clapped. I don't know what else to say. I mean, that's really it. But hope you niggas enjoyed this video. I'm gonna have to see y'all niggas later.